Hey guys, it's Joe. I hope everyone's doing great out there. Coming at you tonight with my horror year in review. So I did this last year, and you guys might have noticed I haven't been doing a ton of horror movie reviews on here lately. Obviously, that is because I started my podcast with Todd over at All Things Horror and Eric over at the Horror Man Cave. So if you want to hear more, reviews from me and those guys, go check us out. Three Guys at Horror. We are on SoundCloud and iTunes and pretty much everywhere else you can find us. So definitely go and check us out, guys. We would appreciate any and all support. But this, guys, is my horror year in review for 2016. I'm going to give you guys my top 5 horror movies of the year and my bottom 3 horror movies of the year. So let's start off, guys, with my bottom 3 horror movies of the year. At number 3 comes The Darkness. Now, The Darkness, starring Kevin Bacon, was sort of a Native American style, haunting type movie. Just didn't have a lot going for it. It had a stupid plot, stupid story, just not much else I can really say about it. Just total skip, totally forgettable, just dumb, just kind of a phone-it-in type movie it felt like. So definitely avoid that one, guys. At number 2 comes Phantasm Ravager. Now, I just watched this one recently, man, and boy, was this a bad one, guys. Really, really highly disappointing. It was kind of a love letter to the fans, this movie. They did try, but oh man, was it just really, really low budget, poorly made. And I cannot recommend it to anyone, even Phantasm fans. Obviously, if you're a completist of the Phantasm franchise, you're going to want to see it, but oh man, it is just pretty much just I don't want to call it an abomination, but it's really bad, guys. So I know that you Phantasm fans are going to want to see it to complete it, but just don't expect much going in, and maybe you'll have a better time with it. And my number one, I've seen some people really praising this movie, but to me, it was the worst horror movie of the year. If you even want to call it a horror movie, I mean, it's probably more on the horror comedy side, loosely horror, but you have to call it horror because it's been categorized that. Is Kevin Smith's Yoga Hosers. Hated this movie. Just felt that it was completely dumb. Which, it was kind of meant to be, I guess, but Tusk was too, and I really enjoyed Tusk. This one just did not have, to me, anything going for it. Didn't enjoy it whatsoever. Felt like it was a total waste of time. Which, honestly, that's why I didn't, I was disappointed, because after Tusk, I was expecting more from Kevin Smith out of this movie, but, he just didn't give a shit about his audience, I felt, in that one, and just totally and truly disappointing. So now let's get into the good stuff, guys. My top 5 horror movies of 2016. Now, I gotta say, I thought this was a really solid year for horror. I was impressed overall. I felt that there was definitely more good than bad this year, and, there was a lot of stuff in the middle, like mediocre movies, which in years past, those movies would potentially make my top 10 or top 5. And this year, honestly, there was a solid top 10 list for me. No doubt about it. I could have made this my top 10 horror of the year, but obviously I don't want this, video to go on forever, so I'm just keeping it to my top 5. But I would like to give a couple of honorable mentions that just missed out on making my top 5. My big honorable mention, this one dropped down a little bit because I wouldn't call it, pure horror. Now, obviously, some of you guys will say, well, Joe, you gave Ex Machina your number 1 spot last year. But, that one I felt like had a lot more horror in it than people kind of gave it credit for. But honorable mention, guys, is the movie Green Room. Now, Green Room, just a fantastic movie. Probably more on your thriller side, but obviously I kind of put horror and thriller almost as a brother and sister type relationship, very, very close together. But Green Room, just such a tense thriller. Really leaves you on your edge of your seat. Cannot recommend that movie enough, guys. Definitely in my top 10 of the list of this year. Another one I would like to give an honorable mention to is Don't Breathe. Don't Breathe was a really solid movie. I'm sure a lot of you were surprised that it is not my top 5. I know it's been in a lot of people's top 5s for this year. I had my issues with it, which I did review it on this channel. So if you want to go back and see what my issues were on it, you can go and do that. But I had enough issues with it that did not put it into my top 5. But still, a really good, solid, fun horror movie. And my last honorable mention, how can I not give this an honorable mention, guys? You guys might be surprised it's not my top 5, is Blair Witch. Now, Blair Witch, that movie really got panned by a lot of fans and critics, which, am I totally surprised with? No, because Blair Witch has always kind of had that love it or hate it type relationship. But I felt like it was a really good homage to the original Blair Witch, and was, the sequel I think most people wanted out of that original Blair Witch. You guys know, obviously, I enjoyed Book of Shadows too. And I'll totally admit I might be a little more biased than some people just because I love the Blair Witch so much and its mythos surrounding it. But I thought this new one really was pretty fun. I will fully admit the first half hour got me nervous. It is a bit of a tough watch to get through in that first half hour. But after that, I felt like it got better and better as it went. And I thought the climax was really entertaining. And that's all. I'll leave it at that. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil any of these movies, guys. But those are my 3 honorable mentions. So let's get into the meat, guys. My top 5 horror movies of this year. Coming in at number 5 is Hush. Now, Hush was kind of a surprise, movie that, no one really saw coming. It was, didn't have any real advertising, no movie trailers, nothing like that. It just appeared on Netflix. I had no idea it was coming, and then all of a sudden you hear people talking about this movie Hush on Netflix and to go check it out, and I went and checked it out, and I was pleasantly surprised. A highly entertaining movie. Another tense movie, kind of edge of your seat. Really enjoyed it. A great addition to the home invasion genre of horror, and I can't recommend it enough. Definitely go and check out Hush, guys. Coming in at number 4 is 10 Cloverfield Lane. Now, once again, another movie, maybe it's, sci-fi horror type, but definitely in the realm of horror, no doubt about it. Well, probably a tense thriller, I would call it. John Goodman is absolutely fantastic in this movie. The first hour of this movie is absolutely amazing. I will say, I definitely had issues with the ending of this movie, but that first hour and 10 minutes is just so good and so tense that it's worth it. It's totally worth your time, totally worth the watch. Still a really highly enjoyable, entertaining movie, and I definitely recommend checking out 10 Cloverfield Lane, guys. Coming in at number 3 is The Monster. Now, The Monster is a movie actually I did not review on this channel, but I had just seen recently. It was recommended to me by a fellow subscriber, and I absolutely loved this movie, guys. It kind of, I guess, without giving too much away, it kind of has a sense, it kind of has like a Babadookie sense to this movie. Don't want to say too much more, because I definitely, obviously, recommend checking this movie out. The creature in this movie, the monster, looks amazing. Practical effects, so huge props, obviously, to bringing out the practical effects once again into horror. Obviously, I love to see that. And this movie has a great story. Really can tug at your heartstrings as well. Probably more on the horror drama side than like pure horror, but a really fantastic movie. These are the types of movies you want to see. I think that raises the horror genre up a peg. So I definitely recommend checking out The Monster. Coming in, guys, at number 2 is The Invitation. Now, The Invitation is another movie that kind of came out of nowhere for me this year. I don't believe it had a theatrical release. If it did, it was very limited. And then it had a very limited, DVD release. But then it popped up right on Netflix. Now I had already seen it before it came out on Netflix, but I watched it again because this movie was so good, super tense, edge of your seat. You're hearing this from me a lot in my top 5, tense, on the edge of your seat type movies, and that's kind of what I'm looking for these days when I'm looking at when I'm watching horror. But such a great movie. Talk about this movie. Some people call it a slow burn, but I don't think it's a slow burn. I think it just knows how to build its tension perfectly, guys. Absolutely perfectly. And that's what I loved so much about this movie. This is how you make a horror movie. And, the ending is absolutely amazing as well. So definitely cannot recommend checking out The Invitation enough. Now, guys, coming in at my number 1 spot, probably no surprise to you guys, is The Witch. Now, I know a lot of people, were split on The Witch. Some people absolutely loved it. Some people hated it. There was really no middle ground. I absolutely loved this movie. Without a doubt, my favorite horror movie of the year. One of my favorite movies of the year. No doubt about it. Just an amazing, amazing movie. A movie that didn't need to put jump scares in it, that didn't need to, shove the horror in your face. It was just there, in the scenes, in the woods, in the soundtrack, just beautifully done way to, put horror in a movie. Do I love my gore? Do I love my, crazy slashers? Obviously, but these are the types of movies I think that raises horror to more to higher stakes, I guess you'd call it. Something that kind of pushes the genre and wants it to be better, and I totally respect that, and that's why I loved The Witch so much. So The Witch, guys, is without a doubt my favorite horror movie of 2016, and in my opinion, one of the best horror movies ever made, in my opinion. I think it is an instant classic for me. It's, one of my, it is without, when people ask me what my favorite horror movies of all time is, The Witch is definitely going to be one that I will say. But that is it, guys. That is my horror year in review. Let me know what your favorite horror movies were in the comments down below. If you think my list is, if you agree with a lot of my list, let me know. If you hated my list, let me know. Let me know your favorites. Let me know your least favorites. Would love to hear you guys' opinions. Maybe some movies I haven't seen yet that I can check out going into early 2017. Would love to hear you guys' opinions on all of this. But that is it, guys. Once again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out on all my other social media. It's linked all down below, guys. And that is it. So everyone have a great night. Cheers to 2016. Let's welcome 2017. Everyone have a great night, and we'll see you all real soon.